Good morning. Good Shabbos.
It's Erev Shabbos.
Hey, Naftali, good morning, good morning.
Top of the morning, my friend.
I just found out I'm giving the class. It's a good thing yesterday I prepared it for yesterday, but never got to it. So, okay, you're the only one on, it looks like. Is anyone else on? 3 people. So who else? Show me.
I see
Oh,
Daniel.
okay, Daniel. Yes, Daniel. Good to see you, man, and hi him. All right. Okay, if we need any historical corroboration or facts or other kind of things, Daniel's the man.
What was it that I think you mentioned yesterday?
I don't know. What I mentioned yesterday, this is Gevenes Nishtu, which means it's not here anymore. All right, hold on. So let's just repeat the last 2 lines of Kuf Gimel 103 Ahmed Bays, page 2, and we'll segue right into 104 Kuf Daled Ahmed Aleph 1041. All right. So in the middle of the last line, it says Afilu below Shua. All right, even without the false oath, it is also necessary for him to deliver the stolen article to the hands of his victim if he truly seeks atonement. Again, we were saying that there are situations where the Beis Din can't do anything, or they do things, but Beinadam Lamakum, between the man who stole and God, he still wants atonement. All right, in order to atonement, he has to give back the Keren, the principal, he has to give back Chomesh, a fifth, and he has to bring a Korban Hashem, all right, a sin offering. Okay, so we're saying even if he didn't, and that case there, my professor, was where he did swear falsely. But we're saying now we end that even if he didn't swear falsely, all right, that if he really wants that atonement, he has to go even all the way to Madai and give it. And where's the proof? The Tanya, because we learned, it was taught in the Brisa, Moda Rabbi Tarfon. Remember Rabbi Tarfon yesterday? We had the machlokas of Rabbi Tarfon and Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva, remember he had, the mnemonic, or the way I would remember it, was, and I taught you, remember, Rabbi Akiva had 5 students in the end, 2 Rav Elazars, Rav Meir, Rav Yosef, and Rav Yehuda, all right? And obviously he cared for each and every one. So here, Rabbi Akiva cares a lot that the man makes right, the guy who borrowed, the guy who stole. And if there's 5 claimants, all right, he has to give to each and every one because he can't possibly be absolved of his sin or rectify the situation until the correct one got it. And you don't know if the correct one, it's like you don't find it, you always find something, as the rabbi says, in the last place you look. All right, so you don't know for sure who it is until that you've accomplished your goal until you've given the money back to 5 people. All right, then we had the takana that was mentioned by Rabbi Tarfon. This would exceed. You owe $200 and you spend them $1,000. So abundance said you can just give it to Beis Din and let Beis Din solve it. If you're going to give it back without check. Anyway. So it says, we learned in this price of Mother Rabbi Tarfon, but Rabbi Tarfon had said just shop and drop like the tarpon fish. All right, you pull it out of the water and then you just throw it back in and let everyone else worry about it. All right, whoever thinks they own it. For it was taught in the price of Mother Rabbi Tarfon, Rabbi Tarfon concedes with respect to one who voluntarily says to 2 people, Gazalti echad mikem mana v'eni yadea eza mikem. I stole a mana from one of 2 of you, but I don't remember which one of you I stole it. So you see that Rabbi Tarfon in that case actually agrees with Rabbi Akiva, all right, that to rectify the situation, both litigants, both claimants have to get it. And now we're at the top of 104, Kafdal Naman Aleph. Shekva Hadam Piatzmo. Since he has confessed on his own in an effort to rectify his sin and he wants atonement, the atonement is only guaranteed if he pays each of the claimants, right? You can't get atonement if you didn't give back. just like we said yesterday on Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur. You have to first ask forgiveness from your fellow man before God will forgive you. So again, what good is bringing a korban? What good is bringing a guilt offering unless you've already given back the stuff? You can't say, I'm guilty here, God, forgive me. You didn't do anything to rectify it here on earth yet. Right, since Rav Tarfon requires a penitent robber who seeks atonement to incur the added expense, even if he did not swear, all right, that's the case we just brought on the end of 103b. How can you say that the Mishnah, which imposes this requirement on the penitent robber, only where he swore falsely, follows Rav Tarfon? So that's the question we would ask. We said Rav Tarfon holds differently where he swore falsely. Right. The Gemara has thus refuted both the original explanation that the Mishnah follows Rabbi Akiva and the alternative explanation that it follows Rav Tarfon. Now, both explanations were based on the assumption that the dispute between these Tanoim extends to our Mishnah's case. All right, hold on a moment. Now, the Gemara is going to be forced to retract that assumption. Ella Amar Rava. Rather, Rava said, all right, hold on one second. I'd like to keep an eye on this. So Rabbi Akiva, Rabbi Tarfon, who were Tanoim, all right, and they were contemporaries. Now we're up to Amoraim because we're talking about Rava and Abaye. They were around the year 4100, and they were, remember, both students of Rabbah. So just to kind of give you a timeline, we've really jumped kind of a few thousand years, okay? Elama Rava, so Rava said, Shane Masnisin, the case discussed in our Mishnah is different from the one disputed by Rav Taf and Rabbi Akiva. The Chayban, the other Laman Gazli, for since in the Mishnah's case, and we mentioned this yesterday, the Rabbi knew who he robbed from. All right? It's just the guy said, "Wait, I'm sorry, my plane is leaving. I got to go off to Shanghai, Hong Kong, or you want to touch at Tahiti, or now it's Guam today. Make up your mind where you're going on vacation. All right? Okay, he went off. He wasn't going to go get a last minute ticket, spend thousands of dollars just to chase him. All right? Vodelay, and as we proved, he also confessed him. And we called him up on his WhatsApp, and he said, "Yo, Shlomi, I stole your thing. Go get." And Shlomi said, "Don't worry, just keep it in holding. I know where you live. All right, and I'll get it." Right. So he's prepared to return the robbed money in order to gain atonement. We say that Kavan Devshal do Ray Mamona Lamare, since it's possible for him to return the money to its owner without complication when the victim calls for it. And the difficulty is simply that he has traveled to Medya, Madai, it's considered as if the victim has told the robber who confessed, "Let the money remain by you in your hands, can stay in your living room until I return from Madai." Hilkach, therefore, the law is that Nishba, if the robber swore falsely, even though the victim said it was after he swore falsely and then admitted to the victims, and the victim said, "It's okay, let it stay by you until I return." Kaven the boy kapara, since the robber still requires atonement between him and God for his false oath, that's what it's for. And the Torah states he can only gain atonement by repaying the victim. It is insufficient unless the payment reaches the victim's hand. So it ain't done till it's done. It ain't over till the lady sings. All right. And if necessary, I didn't want to say that. That's not really nice. And if necessary, the robber must pursue him to Medya for his purpose. All right. Hello, Ishtaba. So, but what if he didn't swear? All right. Then it's okay because it's as if it's a pikadon. It's what do you say pikadon in English? I'm holding a Deposit, there's another word we use, like when you borrow something, excuse me, collateral, that's the word, what it is. All right, I have the collateral until you come and take it. Therefore, the Mishnah states that the robber must pursue the victim to mother only if he swore falsely. Both Rav Tov and Rabbi Ki agree that this is a law in a case where the victim's identity is known. That's what we say yesterday. They disagree only regarding where the victim has not been identified, so that if the robber retains possession of the money, he'll never be able to repay the true victim, right? Because he doesn't know who it is. In that case, the money cannot be considered as having been deposited with him by the victim, right? Because that we haven't identified the victim. Rav Tov rules that nevertheless sufficient the robber place the money between the claimants and withdraw. Again, shop and drop. That's the top and play. And Rav Akiva requires him to pay each and every one of the claimants. This applies whether the robber swore falsely about the theft or not. Okay, weiter. The Mishnah stated. All right. Okay. Let's see. So we're just about 8 lines or so down from the top. Lo yitain lo what? No, we're quoting the Mishnah. It's not in the Mishnah. All right. Because otherwise it would say Mishnah. No.
Paragraphs.
Yeah, paragraph. But when it's a new Mishnah, you have the larger letters.
Yeah.
Okay. And just like with Gemara, the Mishnah stated, we're referring back. Lo yitain lo again, which Mishnah? It's quoting. Let's see. Somewhere.
This is the previous mission that we learned on 103A.
Okay. Yeah. That's talking. We mentioned this. Okay.
Yeah,
The Mishnah stated, "Lo yitain lo." That was yesterday. I don't remember this time. Okay. Lo yitain lo livno v'lishlucho. Oh, you did that, so it's 2 days ago. It's even worse. Lo yitain lo livno v'lishlucho. Now the guy wants to give it back. This is the goizel. He is the robber. He wants to, and remember the difference between robbers and gazlanim. Robber, you think the great train robbery. They're brazen. They come right up to your face with a gun. They're not worried about you. All right? But the gazlan, he's the jewel thief. He's worried about man shouldn't see him. He comes at night. He hides in the basement, and then he comes out.
Which is worse?
Well, the guy.
Brazen one or the
Goslan, because the Goslan is scared of you, but he's not scared of God. So he is worse. The Ganav isn't scared of you, and he isn't scared of God. Right?
That one should be worse, no?
No, because he's consistent about it.
He doesn't care.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Lo yitain lo livno v'lo l'shlucho. He may not give it to the victim's son nor to his agent. All right. So he stole money. So Shmuel stole money from Reuven. All right. Now he wants to return the money. All right. He happens to see Reuven's son, or supposedly the shliach Reuven. It says he shouldn't give it to neither of them. Let's find out why. Statement. The Gemara cites a related decision. Itamar. It was stated, okay, can we what it says? Yes, Itamar is a statement by the Amoraim, all right? Shaliach so be'edim, concerning an agent that was appointed in the presence of witnesses, right? Which should make him a good agent.
Wow, yeah.
Rav Chisda Amar, so Rav Chisda says, let's see what he says. That guy's legally empowered agent. It was done the right way. He was made an agent. It was witnessed. It was notarized. He even has a bank medallion on it. There were, agent witnesses. He's a legally empowered agent. But Rabba says no. Guess what? He's still not a legally empowered shliach. So there's a machlokus now between Rav Chisda and Rabbah. Now we're talking about Rabbah, who is the teacher of Rava and Abaye. So before we mentioned Abaye, But now we're talking about Rava, and Rav Chisda were contemporaries, and they're about the year 4025. So it's about 25 years or so before Rava. All right?
Excuse me, Rennie.
Yeah.
Does anybody there know who's appointing this agent? Is this the one that owes the money or the one?
Good,
that's receiving?
great question. Because at this point, we don't know exactly for sure, even though it started off and it did mention previously that I think the Goslin was appointed, no, the Nigzal. But the Gemara is going to discuss now both situations of who appoints the agent. But it means you're thinking along the right track. But then again, you're not Rav Naftali for nothing. You're always thinking along the right track, right? You get to do the class on Sunday, by the way. If the rabbi said, what?
This reminded me of the whole thing with the get who appointed the agent.
Yeah.
Determined if the person was able to retract if the get was presumed.
Okay, so Hillel says it reminds him of the situation with the get, and there's a shliach. Depends who the shliach is. Is it the shliach of the guy giving the get or the woman receiving the get? And I don't remember, but I guess it makes a difference of some sort.
Well, that's a good point, because these rules apply equally if you just have a debt to someone and you want to repay him. There's a question about a shliach and who's responsible.
Okay, so now you see that there's a machlokes between Rabbah and Rav Chisda whether or not this person is a shliach. So yet you say they apply equally. So there must be something here that maybe it isn't really a shliach. They're calling him a shliach, but guess what? Maybe he really is. So let's hold our horses and learn a little weiter. Rav Chisda said, "Have a shliach." He said he was a shliach. Rabbah says, "Lo, have a shliach." He's not a shliach. The Gemara explains, Rav Chisda, "Ma have a shliach." Rav Chisda says he's a legally empowered agent. Lahachi tach v'kamei be'edim deleka b'shusei. For this purpose, the creditor bothered to appoint him in the presence of witnesses. So that situation there has to do with someone who borrowed money. All right. He borrowed money. He wants to give it back. Now, the creditor. So who is the creditor? The creditor is the guy who's giving out the money. Okay. So he wants to make sure he's going to get his money back. So he goes and appoints witnesses so that the money sent with him should stand in the creditor's possession from the moment the agent receives it. All right. It says here, if Reuven wanted him to be nothing more than the courier, he did not need to appoint him in the presence of witnesses. Since he went to the trouble of making the appointment in this manner, it's obviously intended for him to be his legal representative for the purpose of receiving payment. So this is the first answer to your question. In this situation, they're saying it is the loaner or the creditor that makes the shaliach, because the moment the money is given back to his shaliach, it's technically in his possession and he now owns it. And I think Rabbi Smith's father just
it's the same by the woman and the get.
Okay, leave out the woman and the get, because we'll never finish these 2 pages. Okay. Whoa. Because I'm not going to get anywhere. I'm not. If everybody's going to remember this or that. All right. But if it's the same by the woman and the get, that's perfect. So why don't they bring that here? Why not? I don't know either. So don't bring up things that I don't know how to answer you.
Maybe Naftali could. It's easier to make
Naftali, why do I think it's a good question? Why doesn't the Gemara bring up a get by women? I don't know.
Women, that's why. Women.
Let's move on. You're too smart for me. You ask questions. I'm not going to know the answers. You want a simple connection. I totally volunteer you to give the class Sunday because, and I'm going to keep my mouth shut because I'm going to let you teach it.
I read from the book.
I love you. Hilo's the best. Okay. All right.
It seems like
he's too smart for. Hey, you can imagine if Shalom was here too. Between the two of them, I never get a line.
Shalom alone.
No, between the two of you, because I don't know any of these answers. So let me try and at least read the Hebrew and English. Rabbi Amar, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to put you down or anything. You have great questions. Your question is very good, and I have no idea because it's such a good question. In all honesty, I'm wondering why the Gemara didn't even bring it in.
Daniel has a contribution.
What?
Daniel.
Oh, I was gonna say, like, it seems like it's talking here, like in legal terms, it's the general power of attorney and the special power of attorney. Like, that seems like we're talking about whether it's like a shaliach specifically for collecting the debt, or just like you're saying, like just a courier, like something.
Very good. That I recognize. All right, because I know that in medicine, when you have I forget what they don't call. They also have that with making decisions for a person, monetary and health decisions, and they're called different things. All right, Yeshikach to everybody. Yeah, I like this better because now we're all teaching the Gemara. It's not just me up here who just ring. Yeshikach. I take back as many questions as you want. I love, and anyone who thinks they have an answer, put it in. This is so much better. Hello, Yeshikach. Thank you very much for breaking the ice. Rabbi Amar lo habishlich. So Rabbi says he's not legally a shlich. He says the credit is saying, Imish mehemno. You know what? He's a trustworthy person. He's samach. If you want to rely on him, then you can rely on him. Okay, so this is kind of like a mafia type situation. He's saying, you know what? You can give the money to my boy Joey, but when it gets to court, whatever, and they're checking, they're course examining and asking Tony there, Rav Rambino, did you make Joey your shaliach? He goes, Joey, I know Joey's a friend of mine. He doesn't work for me. Whatever he does, I don't know what he does, right? So it's the kind of same thing here. He's saying, if you trust him, you want to give him money because he works for me or works with me, he's going to bring it back. That's fine. But I'm going to deny it in court. He's not officially my shaliach.
I didn't know so much about the mafia.
I watch television, which you're not allowed to do. All right. The creditor, and I grew up in the Bronx. All right. And I have other stories.
Very suspicious.
No. Do you know that my father-in-law, should rest in peace, when he was young, boxed for who is a Jewish gangster again? Who?
George Soros or something.
Bugsy Siegel. Yeah, he boxed for him as a minor. All right, and my wife says he boxed as a minor because they use minors just like gangs use them now, so that they can't get in trouble and if they were whatever. But guess what? In his case, all right, he was a good boxer because he came from the Navy. All right, well, actually afterwards he went to the Navy and the Marines, Korean War. I mean, this guy, you didn't say anything to him that was anti-Semitic, because if you did, you ended up on the floor, and he ended up in the principal's office and eventually got kicked out of school. All right, I think more than one. He married well, though. He married the tzedekis. All right, so in that situation,
what a great story! Whoa.
No. So nobody gets out of the mafia, but he got out of the mafia because he wouldn't take the fall, and then that was not allowed. But Bugsy liked him as a young Jewish kid. He said, kid, I'll let you get out now before anything. Just walk and never come back. And that's one of the...
We say he wouldn't take the fall. What does that mean?
They would bet on it, and he was always winning. And then he had a reputation for winning, and then they want to reverse the odds. So he should lose in the fight, in the boxing match, and then everyone who bet on him would lose, but they would bet the opposite way. And he refused to do that. So he let him go. So I don't know, maybe Bugsy was Kona Olam Haba in that second. Certainly, at least my father-in-law was Kona his life. Okay, Avaita. So, I'm sorry, very unusual, totally unrelated story, but it came up. What can I tell you? Right. The creditor does not, however, intend for the money to enter his possession through the emissary's receipt of it. All right. Again, it was a disclaimer by the creditor. All right, Snan, we learned in the Mishnah, again, Hashoes Hapara, if one borrowed a cow, Vishilcha, and the lender sent it, now we're talking the lender sending the cow to the shoel, to the borrower, The guy wants to rent the car from Enterprise. All right. Enterprise says, you know what? We're an underdog. We're going to send the car to you with one of our guys. And on the way, guess what happens? The guy, what do you call it, gets in an accident, the driver. All right. Now Enterprise comes to the guy, the renter, and says, I hope you have insurance because the car you rented is in an accident and you're going to have to pay the deductible for it. Right. Now the argument's going to be, well, I never got the car. And Enterprise says, no, you signed DocuSign already that it's your car. So that's what it says. So he's sending the parah, he's sending the cow. The shilcha sent it biad beno, biad avdo, biad shlucho. He's sending it either with his son or his slave or his agent, a shliach, or he sent it with the son, with the slave, with the agent of the borrower, or it could be the other way around. That was the professor's, no, Naftali's original question. Who is the shliach? Is it the lender or is it the borrower? You know, it could be either way here, umesa, all right? And who died? The cow. The cat, the car got an accident, it's total, all right? Before reaching the borrower himself, look what it says, the borrower is not liable to pay for it. Guess what? Enterprise is the one makes it. Well, you say it makes sense, but they asked the question because maybe it does make sense. He already paid DocuSign that he has the car. So it's a Dodge Ram. Very good. All right. Or it could have been a Ford Mustang, and it was a horse. You know, what other car?
It was a Datsun. That was around your
Datsun.
Datsun.
Yeah,
Oldsmobile.
Datsun was Nissan.
Yeah.
You know how Datsun got its name according to my father-in-law? He said he was trying to decide which of his children would get that card. You know, that guy said, "Oh, goes to Datsun." Already. So anyway, I'm sorry. I'm remembering you. I don't know why right now. Now, what is the case of the borrower's agent that the Mishnah mentions in the latter clause? How was he appointed? So now we're just kind of sidetracking for a moment. And we said, because it could be either one shliach. Let's see, it was the shliach of the borrower. All right? How was he appointed? If he wasn't appointed in presence of Adim, Menayadina, and how do we know that he's truly the borrower's agent? Then, if there were no Adam, how do we even know that that guy was officially a shliach? Eladasa be'Adam. So he must have made it with Adam, the shliach, the katani, the pator. But if he was made in front of Adam, and that guy picked up the car from the Enterprise or Hertz or Avis or whatever, so why does the Mishnah say it's pator? The guy's driving the car back to the guy who rented it. Yet the Mishnah states when the lender gives the animal to this agent, the borrower is not liable for any mishap to occurs to it in transit. Good question. Daniel, good question for a lawyer. Naftali, ex-police, good question. Good questions. I got 2 thumbs up. All right, let's see what the answer is. Thus, we see that the agent is not considered the borrower's legal representative, even though he was appointed in the presence of witnesses. All right, that's a good shaila. All right, because I thought that's how you make a good agent. Kashal Rav Chisda. So this presents a difficulty to Rav Chisda. Kedamar Rav Chisda b'schiru lekuto ulekito. It is Rav Chisda stated below in reply to a different challenge. We're dealing with his employee or his companion. So it's not really his shliach. We're back to the Rav Rambino case and Joey, Rav Yosef. All right. Hachanami b'schiro lekito. Here too, the Mishnah deals with the borrower's employee or his companion, meaning that he's not really an official shliach. He's a guy who works for him. Everyone knows he does everything for him. Everyone knows you're giving him money, it's going to go back to Rav Rambino. All right, but it's nothing official. If it was brought up in court, I don't know. I don't say. I know nothing. All right. The Gemara now challenges Rav. Who said that? I know nothing, I see nothing, this, that. Come on, Professor.
The monkeys.
Not the monkeys. Come on, Professor. No, who always said that? No, I see nothing, I know nothing.
One of your TV dramas.
Yeah, who was it?
Hogan's
Schultz.
Heroes. Hogan's
Right.
Heroes.
Yes,
Who got it?
yes.
Who got
Not
Naftali.
Naftali got Hogan's Heroes. It was Schultz. All right, it's none. We're gonna get. I'm gonna get kicked off this stuff, bringing riots from 1960s.
This was after the Civil War, right?
It's after the Civil, yeah.
Okay, just making-
You better be civil, all right? It's none. We learn in our Mishnah. Lo yiteng lo livno v'lo lishlucho. He may not give the article he robbed to the son or the agent. Blah blah blah. Hi shlucho hechidami. Now, what's the case of the victim's agent? How was he appointed? All right. Now we're going on the other side of the case. All right. So now we're a little bit below half the page. All right. Okay. So it's going a little slow. Minayadin, and how do we know that he is his agent? So it's obvious he must have made them in front of Adam. That's the only way you make a valid shliach. So thus we see that even an agent who was appointed presence of witnesses is not considered the victim's legal representatives. Kind of almost the same thing, but let's figure out why in the case of the lender, all right, the creditor, whatever, that this also applies. Must be a different touch, a different reason. Tergum Rav Chisda b'schiro lekuto. Rav Chisda interpret the Mishnah as dealing with the victim's employee or his companion, now with a person that he specifically designated as his agent to retrieve the stolen property. The Gemara questioned this explanation about shliach shaso be'edim, but in the case of an agent that the victim appointed in the presence of witnesses, what do you contend would be the law? You say that indeed he is legally empowered to be an agent, all right? And if the robber returned the article to him, it's considered as if he returned it to the victim himself. Rather than teaching in the next course, but then we give it to an agent of the court, the flug with no be day. Let the Mishnah make a distinction and teach an exception to this ruling with respect to the victim himself. All right, Ahmed from Harimbo, was this matter stated? Well, my Gemara just jumped. I lost where I'm at. It's one thing with the electric. Hold on. I mean, with the computer.
Yeah, with the generator.
How do we know? Hold on. I gotta be very, it's a sensitive touch. Rav Chisda interpreted the Mishnah as dealing with the victim's employee or his companion. Am I at the right place?
We just went over that.
I just went over it. So it's about shliach so shliach that he may been having namida have a shliach. Indeed, it's a shliach. How did they say for about not and who the shliach based in? It may give the agent of the court. All right, the flood will no be day. Respect by myself. Okay, now I'm up to the shliach shlo asobedim. So it must be that we're dealing with a case that the shliach was not done with Adam. About shliach shasobedim, the shliach that he made with Adam. Achinami the have shliach. He's indeed a legally empowered shliach. But it's saying it's a question mark. The Tanya did not state this distinction. So, in other words, the question is, why didn't the Tanya say that at the beginning, the difference between it's done with Adam or not done with Adam? The reason is regarding, right, we go shliach based in lo shana asal nigzav lo shana asal gazlan have a shliach. Whether the robber appointed him or whether the robbed party appointed him or the robber appointed him is considered a legally empowered agent to receive payment on behalf of the victim. All right. When it comes to a shliach based in, that's like the gold standard. Either side is going to be perfect. But when we're dealing with the robber or Rabbi, and or the creditor and the loan, or the guy who borrowed, all right, then there might be differences on how he was made a shlich. And here we're going to say, Sikale, but wait a minute, this is an absolute statement that the robber may discharge his obligation by, we learned this yesterday, by giving the stolen article, shliach shasol be'edim, an agent that was appointed in the presence of witnesses, where it is only when the victim appointed him to retrieve the money is considered a legally empowered agent. So Goslan lo have a shliach. But if the robber appointed him, he's not considered. It's not a lo psikolei. All right, therefore the Tana chose to say this rule in regard to agent in the court. So because of this dispute, the Tana spoke only about the agent of the court. That if you leave it with the court's agent, everything's okay. And that's kind of like nowadays, I think, and the lawyers can confirm or not, when you have money that's going to be involved in a purchase or some sort of thing between interaction between two parties, it's always put in one of the lawyer's trust accounts, right? And escrow account, that's the word. And that way, everyone agrees that's a safe keeping in an escrow account, correct? Legal opinions? Yes. Again, not. All right. Okay.
If the lawyer doesn't run away.
Yeah. I have something like an escrow account. I give the money to my wife because I know it's safe there, and I have no choice. She's taking the money. It's a lot safer than keeping the money by me because I'm not going to remember where I put the money or where I spent the money. Okay, La Puke Mahave Tana. And this precludes the opinion of the following Tana, the Tanya who was taught in the Bryce, Rabbi Shimon ben Lazar, Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar says, Shliach Beishin, so Nigzo, Velo, so Goslan, if the agent of the court was appointed by the victim and was not appointed by request of the robber, and the robber gave him the payment, or so Goslan Vishalach Halavanato as Shalom Yado, or the agent who received payment was appointed by request of the robber, and the victim sent his own agent who took that which is from him, Patur. The robber is exempt. Oh, so this sounds maintains the exemption robber of this payment agent and the court of presence when the victim's request. All right, so we're going to come up right now to a fine tuning of this case. Rabbi Yochanan, Rabbi Elazar, Damrei Tabayu. They both said, "Shliach sheso be'edim havi shliach." If a shliach was made, if an agent was made in the presence of witnesses, he's legally empowered agent. V'im tomar mishnah seinu, and if you encounter and say our mishnah implies otherwise, for it states that the robber cannot fulfill his obligation by returning the stolen article to the victim's agent, and this would seem to refer to an agent appointed in the presence of witnesses, but mamtzi lo shliach. Our answer to the Mishnah refers to a case where the victim merely makes the agent available to the robber. Okay, so it's not really a shliach. Now we're going back to, it's my friend. You know what? It's Joey. You can give the money to Joey. Joey kind of works for me. Yeah, you trust him? That's fine. Give it to him. Joey will always give the money to me. But he's not really officially a shliach. Amalei, because it says, Isli zuze gabe planya lo ka mishad. I have money with so-and-so, and he's not sending it to me. Is chazele, please appear before him and offer to deliver it to me. Okay, so they're going to give you a case here. He's going to say, you know what? Reuven lent Shimon money, all right? And along comes Levi. So Reuven says to Levi, you know what? You go to Shimon, all right? I know you want money from me, all right? Or I owe you money, all right? You go to Shimon, all right? And get the money from Shimon. Shimon will give it to you. You deliver the money to me, and then I can give you the money or whatever. All right, or use it for my own means. For perhaps he cannot find anyone for whom to send it. I mean, maybe that's the reason he did this situation, because he couldn't find anyone else. Alternatively, the Mishnah may be understood, as explained above by Rav Chisda, Bischiro ulakito. When we're dealing with the victim's employee or his companion, that's ulakito. Lakito, think of it like I like him. Lakito, I like him. Lakito, like. All right, so I like the guy. So I like the guy. That's why he works for me. You can give it to him, this or that, but he's not officially in court, Ishliach. I'm Rabbi Yehuda Shmuel. So Rabbi Yehuda said the name of Shmuel. Finally, we get to the top of 104b, at least for a little. Ein Meshachim must be diyukani. Now's another case. Not Lakito, but the diyukani. All right, the diyukani refers to the guy shows up when again Reuven went to get the money from Shimon. He sent Levi. Levi is not an official shliach, but Levi shows up to Shimon and he has this piece of paper. And on the paper it says, hey, I work for Rav Rambino and you can give me the money for him. All right. So it's kind of a semi-official document. All right, but it's not like a real authorized, notarized medallion document with witnesses. Okay, one with whom the money was sent to deposit should not send the money back to deposit with someone merely bearing a symbol that identifies him as the depositor's emissary. Even if there are witnesses on there, who knows who these witnesses are? Rabbi Yochanan and Rabbi Yochanan said, but Rabbi Yochanan disagrees. He says if there was Adam on that document, witnesses, then it's okay, because I guess he feels it's just like the Adam that the guy's a shliach, all right? But not the document itself, not the Amr, Lashmor and Maitakata. So according to Shmuel, what's the remedy for a depositor who wishes to send an emissary? This is a great upshot, to retrieve his deposit. All right. So they're going to give us a situation, a case of how he did it. He had the Rabbi Abba, Habimasik Zuze, the Rabbi Yosef Bar Chama. He may act in accordance, which that what was done. He's going to give a case, famous case. Rav Abba had a loan outstanding against Rav Yosef Bar Chama. Again, so we're going to give names to Reuven and Shimon. All right, Rav Abba had a loan. He had loaned it to Rav Yosef Bar Chana. Amalei Rabba. So Rabba said to Rav Safra, who is traveling to Rav Yosef Bar Chama's locale, he says, the Asis, I seen who min halei. When you return here, bring me the money. So when Rav Safra went there, he wanted the payment. Amalei Bray Rabba, the son of Rav Yosef Bar Chama, said to him, Mikasev la his kabalti. He says, did he write for you a receipt that you would hand my father stating, I, Rabba, have received payment through Rav Safra's collection of it? In other words, I'm not going to give you this money because how am I going to show it's paid, stamped? You don't have a receipt. If so, you want me to give it to you, go back to Rava, tell him to write your receipt with a paid stamp on it that says, I've got the money, I'll give you the money, you give me the paid receipt from him. And guess what? Dish moves in a little bit, they're still talking. Keser in Elvei says, L'shaf amalei. And then Rabbi says to him, you know what? That's not going to work. Because of lach namis kapalti, love klumu. Even if you give me a document that says from Rabbi's name, not Rabbi, from the other rabbi, I forget his name. Yeah. No, not Suffer. Rabbi's talking to Rav Suffer, the one with the long name. All right. He says, I have received, he gives you this paid statement. It's worthless. You know why? Dilma, I say Shachiv Rabbi, excuse me, Rabbi Abba, V'nafuz Kamma Yasme. By the time you get back here, Rav Abba will have died. All right. So you're going to go write me a receipt that says paid by Rav Abba. All right. And then you come back to me with that receipt. But in the interim, Rav Abba, who was very old, he died. Well, if he died, where did Rav Abba's money go? He went to his Yorshim, his Yisomim, right? To the inheritance. So how can you then give me, I'll give you money, and you're going to say he received it? But that man don't write receipts, all right? There's a date on it, all right? Men don't talk, they don't write receipts. Yeah, all right? Viskabati, the Rabbi Abba love klumhu, all right? So Rabba's statement, I received it, is going to be worthless. Amalei ve'elamai takanta. So, but he has a remedy. So niknala agavara. All right, this is the only way you're going to do it. All right, you have to do it agavara. So we have all these different ways of acquiring something. You can acquire like an animal with a shikha, pulling it. You can acquire a field with a fence or plowing it or doing. You can acquire, sayumatsu with whatever that's called. Well, I don't know. You can acquire. You can acquire a woman, kesef star, bia. All right. How do you acquire money? And you can make exchange. How do you acquire money that's far away?
Wiring.
Wiring wasn't available in those days.
Really?
So, but I'll tell you what was available. You can go there, all right, and you can buy a little piece of land from the person. The case would be he sold him part of his threshold. Or as my son Chazoni once bought, he has the official title Lord, Lord, like from Scotland. He bought a square foot of land in the middle of some place. This place in Scotland or Ireland, wherever it was, needed to raise money. They sold square footage of land that was worthless in the middle of nowhere, like buying stuff up in northern Florida where you can't even get to it from the highway. All right. And if you got that, anyone who owns land in Ireland or wherever it was is called a lord. Okay. So for the $10, you became a lord. What good is it outside the piece of paper? I don't know. But in case they ever, give a hotel discount, if you're a lord, you get that. All right. So here he says, go acquire a piece of land. Once you acquire a piece of land, then you can use this kind of agav archa. By the way of acquiring the piece of land, you can acquire anything that comes with it. So like when you buy a house and you get everything that's attached to it, or let's say you're going to buy a house and it comes completely furnished, all right, you can buy that piece of land along with money that comes with it. That's the only way in those days, at least for sure, you can acquire money. So he's saying, go ahead, you, the shliach here, or whatever you want to call yourself, all right, you go acquire from this Rav Abba who wants the money back, all right, make an acquirement from him. Now you own the money, all right, and I can just pay you, and you can write me the stamp receipt paid. Oh, that's a good answer. Okay.
So own the rights to the money? That's what I mean? You own the rights to the money? Okay, yeah.
Essentially, yeah. All right. So that you become our new creditor. All right. That's how us kisan learn his kabbalti. And then when you come yourself, write for us, I've received the money. Again, he was worried that if you came in the interim, the guy you came from might have passed on. And this way, it doesn't make a difference because that money can't go to your shim. It's your money now. And I'm just going to pay you back your money. They did this little triangle. Ki hada Rav Papa have a masik tracer alfe zivze bechaze. This is in accordance with that incident which Rav Papa had a loan of 12,000 zuzim outstanding against someone in the town of Chaze. Okay, so Rav Papa loaned someone in this town 12,000 chazi. Askinu then hale l'Rav Shmuel Barabba agav asipa devese. So he conveyed the money to Rav Shmuel Barabba, who was traveling to Chaze by dint of the threshold of his house. Oh, so this is the case with the threshold. So in order to collect the money, he gave him the money by selling him the threshold of his house. Now the guy who went to Chaze could acquire the 12,000 zuzay. Kiyasa Rav Shmuel all right, Kiyasa, when Shmuel Barber came back, Naflaf Peik, the Tavach, Rav Papa was so overjoyed, he went as far as Tavach to meet him. He said, wow, this is Gavaldik. All right, just a minute or two more. Nothing Lois a Karen. Oh no, now we're up to a new sugya, nothing Lois a Karen. So about 1/3 of the way down the page, and we're going to start talking about the fact of giving the principal with the fifth and Hashem. So I'm sorry I didn't get to do the whole page. But you know what? It was worth it for the great questions. Yeah, except I still don't know. I still don't know why they didn't bring what you brought up to get.
It might not line up perfectly.
Well, none of this lined up perfectly. That's why we kept on going back and forth. Would have been with Kasha. Maybe it's brought somewhere else. Who knows? Maybe it was brought in Gittin already, this stuff. And that's why I don't remember that, even though we learned the Yoshikoyas. All right. Please forgive me, family, if you I gave a hard time. But you know what? Have a little action here.
So awesome.
Awesome, yeah, or some of something. Yeah, all right.
Doctor, do you know?
Thank you, Daniel.
Thank you.
Naftali. Have a
Do
great
you know?
Erev Shabbos and a
Thank
great
you, Rennie.
later Shabbos. All right.
Thank you.
And I
Thank
can't
you.
tell who else is on. Eliezer, como está? Great Shabbat.
You're staying. You good. You awesome.
And
I like
think
it.
Rabbi Smith's father, I think, is on. And if
Doctor,
we have a great Shabbos reforced. Oh, I forgot to say at the beginning, everything we learned here was Chushav Eretz Yisrael. Thank you, Hashem, for learning. And everyone needs a refuah shlema should have a refuah shlema. Everyone who needs a wife should have a wife. Every wife that needs a husband should have a husband. Everyone that needs a get should have a get, so they can get the correct wife and husband and whatever. Daniel, stop laughing. All right, see you guys. Bye-bye. Have
you seen that movie, Doctor, On the Waterfront? On the Waterfront? That could have been a contender. It's that story. It's about a boxing guy.
Oh, Marlon Brando.
Marlon Brando, yeah. Yeah.
The professor.
You would love that.
Yeah,
that's exactly that story where it's like a mafia guy and he's a boxer and they tell him to get a fall. And, exactly.
I gotta look it up.
Yeah. It's a great movie.
That movie is based on Dr. Stein's father-in-law.
There you go.
They took his story.
That was a great story. Thank you so much.